What's poppin', guys? Guard Champion here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a virtual tour of my studio and my collection. I will have separate timestamps for each category in the description, so feel free to watch any section you choose to, or both. If you do, then you're awesome. I've been wanting to actually make a video like this for a long time now, but I kept adding things to the studio. I've needed some tech upgrades and all that, so things are a little bit more permanent now. So regardless of what section you watch, if you do enjoy this video or anything I display, feel free to like and subscribe. I appreciate it. I'll start with the studio tour first. There are two sections to my studio: my normal recording area and then the figure recording area. I'll start with the location where I record my figures, since it's quite simple and there's not much to it. On the walls to the left and right of me, I have sound panels attached to the lower part of the wall to help stop sound from bouncing all over the place and creating an echo-like sound. These were originally placed with no gaps, but over time, I don't know what the hell happened to them, but now they're just not tight anymore and they look kind of crappy. Oh well. To make for a quicker and easier transfer of the camera from its main recording spot, I have the area around the same height as my camera normally would be at. So here we have a simple bar stool with some boxes stacked up, then my rotating stand on top, and then my ring light actually fits perfectly around the rotating stand, giving it an illumination from the bottom. I like the way it looks, and it doesn't create glare when I'm doing shots of the boxes. I have a special lens I'm using for this as well, which is a newer addition to my recording studio, and that is a fixed 35mm Nikon lens. This works pretty well for my setup and is a nice addition for making more clear content. That's basically it for the figure area, so let's check out my main recording area. I'll start with my recording equipment. The camera I'm using is a Nikon D810 and I love it. I have a plug-in battery pack, so I don't have to worry about batteries dying mid-recordings, which is nice. Next up is my mic. It's a lavender colored Wave DX, which is an XLR microphone. Also a big reason I wanted to hold off on this kind of video and other podcasting projects, because I knew I was going to upgrade my previous mic. I've always loved the Elgato products, and this one does not disappoint. The mic stand has yellow lights wrapped around it and was actually a post-Halloween discounted item at my local Kroger that I found good use for. It adds a little bit more oomph to it and helps illuminate me in my relatively darker space. Also on the mic stand is a shitting Shinobu Kocho figure, perfectly placed so it does not fall off. Although it has a couple times and it broke her sandal off. Thank God for Super. This is a key decoration for my visual side of my Butterfly Mansion podcast. I'll discuss that a little further later on. Next up is my wireless keyboard and mouse setup. These were a package deal with the Dragon Waifu on there. It has a unique sound when you type on it. The freedom to move this around and not be limited by a wire is so clutch. Same with the mouse. The amount of cords I have around my desk is a mess, and the wireless components of these are super convenient. And they look cool and light up. I'm easily persuaded by a bunch of flashy lights. If you haven't noticed, here I have a custom-built computer that has been slowly modified over the years. It was built with only the necessary things to perform what I needed it to do, and it was made for under $1,000. Shout out to my tech guy for helping me with this, and all the random Discord calls to help me figure out problems as they come up. He's a wonderful person, and I'm very thankful to be friends with him. When I first got the computer, I spent a little extra to make it flashy with the lights all over the place, for it to all be covered up with this beautiful metal plate of Nezuko in the Butterfly Mansion decor. This image stole my heart the instant I saw it, and it was a must-have. I even got it signed by Abby Trott as well. Inside the computer, I have all my Nanoblock Pokemon builds that I did when I streamed on Twitch. They were fun to build, but those streams got 0 views, so yeah. And then arguably the coolest figure I own, the Shinobu figure with the butterflies. Let's take a peek from my perspective here. I'm rocking the dual monitor setup and I need more. If you've ever streamed or recorded stuff, you'd understand. There's a lot of stuff going on, but not enough space for it all to fit. I have a few items my BFF gave me here on the desk, the Shark Dish, and the Guard Champion stand. The Shark, as you can see, is a nice holster for my fake knife that I'm always filling around in my videos. Then there's the broken butterfly from my Shinobu Crocs. I am still hurting on the inside from this, in case you guys are wondering. Then there's all these weird lights I got off Amazon that went to my old setup. I taped these on the side of the monitor for frontal lighting, then the two at the edge of the desk illuminating me from the bottom, and then a final branch illuminating the Nezuko poster from the bottom. I tried a ring light on the camera before, but it just made it too bright for me, and then all the reflections from the boxes I did not like, so I found an alternate solution, and this ended up being it. The last item on my desk is the Shinobu light box. I recently purchased the OG Shinobu pot for it to rest on with the SDCC variation. This will be complete with the Sumi Ink one whenever that comes out. There's also a special spot located under the desk, and that's where my BFF lays to keep me company while I'm here in the studio. We have a hoodie that's technically mine, but she claims it as hers and defends it to the bitter end, so that's commonly up here with us for her company. I'll showcase the entire setup from afar again, now that it's all been broken down, and I personally love the setup, and it just really works for what I gotta do. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of my studio. That only took like 5 tries. Let's dive into the collection. With all the Funkos I have, I needed to build a shelf that fit my space and was optimal for displaying them. So I bought a bunch of pine at Lowe's and built this. The Funkos aren't heavy, so I only put support boards up on each end and then a set in the middle. It's been about 3 to 4 years now and no settling or warping, so it turned out okay. As for the spacing of the shelves, it may sound stupid, but hear me out. All of this is based on the height of a Funko on top of a G Fuel container. There's a good enough height to see the Funko in the back with one in front of it, creating a stacked look, giving me a little bit more freedom for moments or larger box figures, and it helped with cost of materials overall if I were to make it only one Funko per shelf. Since I'm located in a bungalow, I had to make some decisions on the fly once I got to a certain height. The top shelf was accommodating for a 10-inch figure in box, but there was one flaw in this design. I made it too perfect. It was possible for the 10-inch pop to sit on there, but it required me to lean the shelf almost an entire 45 degrees, allowing enough clearance for me to fit the Funko over the lid, set it up, and then slowly rock it back. I did not take the lip into consideration before I put the lip on, so once the shelf was built, then I needed to light it up. I found these lights at Costco, and they are the best thing I could have invested in. These things are cool as hell. I can change the colors and patterns endlessly. Once I got the lights on, then I wanted to kind of cover up the wood. So I wanted to have vinyl stickers made to cover the outer facing. One of my friend's wives who had a Cricut made me a bunch of these vinyl stickers that I put on the outer lip. You cannot see this in videos, but what I did was I took Shinobu's Haori pattern, divided it up by the number of shelves. The top shelf is the top of her Haori, and then it works its way down towards the bottom. I also really like the bottom section of her Haori, so I use that on the support boards as extra decor, so you're not looking at just plain wood. I also use that same vinyl sticker on the wood that's holding up the metal poster. An important aspect of the shelf is the area that will be included in the Butterfly Mansion podcast, which is the center area. So I placed the Q Posket figures there, and then Shinobu, Aoi, and Canal Pops on each side since they conveniently all had 2 pops each, allowing for perfect symmetry. I tried to include the main cast as well, Hashira on the shelf below, and then a goal of trying to have calm and chill pops in this area because my intro literally talks about how it's a nice and peaceful place to read some manga. The hardest part in this entire setup was figuring out where these 2 horizontal pops were going to go. And with this whole symmetry thing I had going, I put them both on opposite sides of the center beam and slapped the Shinobu acrylic stand on top of one, with the intent of it being seen during the podcast, only for the microphone to cover it up in the shot that I take, so it's completely useless. This was the foundation of the setup, and everything else branched off from there. So with everything that's in shot of the Butterfly Mansion podcast, I'll show you guys a brief clip of what it looks like through the podcast. Continuing on the right side, there's a final selection theme. The same shelf, but opposite side, I have some lower ranked demons. The Spider Family, Yahaba and Susumaru, then Yushiro and Chachimaru. Directly below them, we have an entertainment district theme with Tengen, his wives, along with Gyutaro and Daki. Same shelf, but opposite side, we have the Urokodaki family. All variations of Sabito and Makimo, Tanjiro before the final selection, and then him and his outfit going to the final selection. At the very end of the shelf here, we have a Shinobu Kocho Loungefly backpack. Super high quality product, and I love it. So the last 2 shelves I talked about were 4 and 5. We'll move on to the third shelf. The entire right side is Swordsmith Village themed, with the G Fuel box being a nice anchor. These are some of the newer ones coming out around the end of last summer. These are also my final straw on deciding I need to reorganize this entire shelf. It was getting to the point where nothing was themed, making sense anymore, and I even had Demon Slayer Funkos on the floor. That is unacceptable. Next to the G Fuel box is the Japan exclusive popcorn bucket from the Infinity Castle, a prized possession in my collection. The first portion of the left side does not have a theme, just the main cast, Muzan, Tanjiro's dad, and then the Shinobu Funko t-shirt. Then as we go to the end of the shelf, I have upper ranked demons with height variations of Tanjiro and Nezuko. Shelf number 2. This is the Hodgepodge shelf. I had all these moments, and it was towards the end of the setup, so I put a row of Funkos in between the moments until the shelf was done. And then shelf 1 is just leftover Demon Slayer and then other anime Funkos that I could not fit on the top shelf. Shelf number 6. On the right side are most of my signed pops. Meeting all those people were super fun, and those pops hold so many fun memories. In the center, we have the diecast box and figure on display. Then on the right side, we have a couple high dollar pops, and then the holiday sets released not too long ago. And then at the very end, the premium Rengoku. Lastly, the top shelf. The Demon Slayer manga box set can only be supported in one spot on this entire shelf, and that is right on the support boards in the middle. This is relatively heavy. There's just enough space to lay 3 Funkos on the top of the box, laying sideways. And so here I put the 3 main characters of JJK. On the right, we have my Chainsaw Man collection. We have U2s, Funkos, and a G Fuel box. So this collection is pretty diverse. On the other side, we have my first NFT pops, Dandadan Funkos, other U2s figures, and then out-of-box Q Posket figures. That wraps up my nerd collection, and let me know what you thought of it in the comments. This setup has taken quite some time to finally complete and fill in. Though it may seem like I spent a shit ton of money on all this stuff, I kinda did, but it was through a bunch of small purchases here and that made this all possible. Most of my Funkos were on sale or with discounts, so it's not like I spent everything all up front. So realistically, anybody could do this. So if you're ever looking to do something like this or build up a collection, it is possible as long as you're smart about your spending. For a while, I only allowed myself to get one Funko a week. Or if you have a bunch of stuff and you want to display it, there's a bunch of places where you can get shelves or stands to display your stuff. And if you're ambitious enough, you can make a shelf like I did. So I'm going to end it here. So as always, thank you for watching and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Have a wonderful day and I will see you on the next one. Peace.